very good evening and warm welcome to Power News, your window to the power sector. I'm Jyotiraditya, bringing you the 6th annual series of Power News. All these years, we have been working to bring our viewers the latest news, information and analysis of developments related to policies, projects and investments in the Indian power sector. Before we start our bulletin, let's take a glimpse of the launch ceremony of Power News program on ET Now and celebration of completion of 250 episodes. The ceremony was inaugurated by Minister of State for Power Independent Charge, Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia. Let's take a look.
Since its inception in the year 2007, Power News has completed 250 episodes under the aegis of CNFC Media. In the event of its celebration, Minister of State for Power, Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia, graced the occasion with his presence.
While delivering his inaugural address, Power Minister said that Power News is an important program and initiative to be able to disseminate information and educate our masses in terms of various innovations and initiatives that have been undertaken both by private and public sector to hold and improve the power situation across the country.
Today, I must congratulate Ms. Rajput and her full team at a very young age to be able to step out and to be able to take this challenge and this initiative of looking at a very dedicated vertical portal to be able to supply all kinds of information and disseminate all kinds of information specifically related to the power sector through her newsprint avenues, her conferences, and over the last 5 years, as she mentioned, 250 episodes across multiple channels, now focusing on ET Now, is indeed a very, very laudatory step. Power has become the fulcrum of India's economic growth, and it should be. People across India are getting connected to information networks, to telecom networks, and that has to be powered at the end of the day through electricity networks. We all believe in multiple types of freedom. Freedom of education, freedom of information, freedom of political thought. But I think the one freedom that ties all of us together, in addition to all of these freedoms, is the freedom of opportunity. And I think that is an integral part of democracy, to be able to provide freedom of opportunity to every citizen across the length and breadth of our country. And if you were to provide freedom of opportunity, at the basis and the foundation of that freedom of opportunity lies the freedom of connectivity. And the freedom of that connectivity can only be powered, and no pun intended, if you provide electricity. And therefore, the integral role of electricity and power in the nation's development. And therefore, I must congratulate Jui and her team. It takes a bold and a challenging individual to be able to take up a vertical focus. And it's been an enduring route and an enduring passion that has resulted in today CNFC Media collaborating with ET Now.
Sharing of experience and dissemination of ideas require a platform, and Power News has worked towards providing that essential platform for the power sector. Our aim has been to bring research-based, knowledge-intensive reports and heady discussions in the show. Now let's move on to the news of the week. As per a recent survey, the capital expenditure of 25 top listed companies in the power sector dipped 15% to Rs 1,12,687 crore in 2012-13. Further, capex by the private sector, which is expected to infuse more than half of the total funding in the 12th plan, dipped 44% to Rs 54,000 crore.
Private sector investment in power sector decreased by a whopping 44% last financial year. The private investment has further declined in the current financial year. According to the data, the worst performers included infrastructure major Lanco Infratech, which saw fresh capex dipping 81% to 3,360 crore rupees. Adani Power capex tumbled 52% to 6,771 crore. Reliance Power capex down 42% to 11,284 crore rupees. And public sector hydro major NHPC saw 23% fall in capex to 3,130 crore rupees.
If a power station closes or gets stranded, it's not only the developer who has provided 20 or 25% of equity who loses. It is the lenders who lose in a bigger way. And that sets in chain reaction all throughout the country and outside, and rest of the project development gets into serious problem.
The declining trend in investments was due to uncertainties on fuel supply, regulatory affairs and policy framework. The private developers had slowed down or postponed their investments because of the issues.
Last month, the top interministerial group cleared the amendments to the bidding documents for thermal power plants, a move that will pave way for faster execution of 4,000 megawatt ultra-mega power project scheme. These documents are expected to take care of risk associated with fuel price volatility and fuel availability, as the fuel has been made a pass-through. At the same time, clarity has been brought in the termination and other generic provisions in the contract. The empowered group of ministers have cleared the amendments to the bidding documents for thermal power plants. The changes have also been made to keep tariffs for large plants and ultra-mega power projects low by giving developers more time to recover the complete fixed cost.
It has to be, it's based on a competitive bidding basis, and therefore the one that bids the least amount will get the contract for that power plant. I have to ensure that we have a facilitatory mechanism in place that will get the best equipment for power plants in this country at the most competitive cost.
Power producers will get an extended 40 years time against the proposed 25 years earlier to retain the control over projects.
That brings in about more transparency, and probably all the major glitches which were there in the earlier documents, they've been taken care of. So it's a good thing they've done.
Till now, projects were developed on a build, own, operate model. However, under the bidding guidelines, this will change to a design, build, finance, operate and transfer model. This means power plants would be transferred to the contracting DISCOM at the end of their project life. Bankers' concerns on the new DBFOT model have also been addressed, as they will continue to have first right over the assets of the power plant even if it gets transferred to DISCOMs. The fuel cost has been made pass-through, ensuring the projects against risk due to volatility in global fuel prices.
Increase in coal prices, which has created a lot of controversy also in the power sector. So that is set to rest with these documents coming into being, because these documents address that issue upfront, that coal price essentially will be a pass-through, which means all the controversies surrounding the increase in coal prices because of the change in regulation or because Coal India not being able to supply the committed quantity of coal, so that will be set to rest.
Government didn't change the controversial DBFOT model for the development of large power plants under the new SBD, but relaxed the provisions a bit by extending the tenure to prevent these projects from getting high tariff quotes and problems in financing.
This document has been designed in such a way that it is more biased towards the procurer. It doesn't actually mitigate the risk adequately. Practically, there will be funding issues for the project, and it will have a serious repercussion not today, 5 to 7 years hence.
Under the new SBD, the developers would also have to buy their equipment from domestic suppliers. Power equipment makers and generators are at loggerheads as the government contemplates making domestic equipment sourcing mandatory for mega projects.
It's going to include the tariff, and it is still under examination. We have not yet taken a thing. We have not yet taken a decision about this, but we are concerned because this will raise the cost of the plant, and therefore it will increase our fixed cost also.
The Heavy Industries Ministry has been pushing for government intervention to make domestic sourcing of equipment mandatory, as local power equipment makers have set up new capacity which is underutilized due to lack of orders. Though the real impact on growth might be visible only after a few years, these decisions would certainly boost sentiment and help address the questions being raised about the government's so-called lackadaisical approach towards big projects. Here we'll take a short break, but there's a lot more on the other side. Stay tuned in.
Indian Energy Exchange, India's premier power trading platform. To turn movements into a ballet, you need a choreographer. To turn products into integrated solutions, you need Larsen & Toubro. L&T's engineering expertise, manufacturing capability, and application experience by introducing new levels of pace, performance, and convenience at major utilities around the country. Integrated solutions in electrical and automation from Larsen & Toubro.
Power Grid Corporation of India, the central transmission utility, world-class integrated global transmission company with dominant leadership in emerging power market, ensuring reliability, safety and economy. Power Grid, building a smarter grid.
Welcome back, you're watching Power News. Once regarded as a sick or Bimaru state, Madhya Pradesh now declared itself as a power surplus state. While other states in the country are grappling with an increasing demand and diminishing supply energy crisis situation, Madhya Pradesh claims that it is selling an average 100 lakh units of electricity every day to neighbouring states. To talk in detail on Madhya Pradesh power sector restructuring, we have with us Mr. Mohammad Suleman, Energy Secretary, Madhya Pradesh. Mr. Suleman, first of all, I'd like to ask you that from the Bimaru state at the time of separation from Chhattisgarh, today Madhya Pradesh called itself a power surplus state, supplying 24/7 power to all the consumers across the state, even in remote villages. Government claims that till 2018, it would not purchase a single unit of power from outside. How has this turnaround happened?
Our power surplus position is not a result of one-day effort. For the last 5-6 years, we have worked on it. We have a policy in place which supports independent power producers to put up thermal power stations in Madhya Pradesh. We have invested in our own generating company. We have putting up huge capacity in our own generating company. We are also utilizing the whatever share is allocated by interstate generating stations owned by Government of India. Based on that, we are now in a surplus position, and we project that at least till 2020, we will continue to be in a power surplus position based on the planning that we have done today.
As per state government's claim, power success story of Madhya Pradesh does not come out of just the availability of electricity, but also it is made commercially viable. Not only in generation, but even in distribution sector, the state has shown remarkable improvement. While most of the states are availing the central funded bailout package scheme, Madhya Pradesh refused to participate in the scheme. How has the financial turnaround of DISCOMs been achieved?
See, financial turnaround of DISCOM has been the most challenging task as far as we are concerned. Madhya Pradesh Assembly did pass a resolution that in 3 years' time we need to reduce our AT&C losses by 9 percentage point. We did better than that. In fact, in 3 years we reduced our losses by 10.76%. So that has helped the distribution companies. The utilities financial performance basically depends on gap between your average cost of supply and average revenue that you recover from every unit that you are putting in the system. For us, this used to be about 1 rupee a few years back. This has gone down to 60 paisa now. It will come down to about 46 paisa next year. So we are on a path which is basically helping us out in recovering what we are putting into the system. We didn't go to Government of India for financial restructuring plan because we had something of our own. While most of the utilities had borrowed their money from banks and they were not in a position to pay to the banks, we have absolutely no such outstanding liability of any commercial institution. Whatever borrowing the state utility has was of Government of Madhya Pradesh. And we approved FRP for them, which net impact of that FRP is 2400 crore rupees to the financial health of utilities. We converted their loan into perpetual loans to be serviced at 8% interest rate. We gave them a loan waiver for part of it. There's a loan holiday on which they don't have to pay anything. So we did many things to ensure that our utilities are commercially sustainable.
Coming to the transmission sector, to cater to the growing demand of the power evacuation infrastructure, MPPTCL has prepared an ambitious investment plan of Rs 73 billion for the 12-plan period. The company intends to add approximately 8,800 circuit kilometers of line and 21,000 MV of transformer capacity during this period. How has been the progress so far on this front?
We used to have a transmission capacity of about 3000 megawatt a few years back. Now our transmission capacity is about 10,000 megawatt. We need to upgrade it to about 14,000 megawatt. We have a system in place in which basically transmission company doesn't do a capital expenditure on its own. DISCOM need to project that this is what they want. This is where they want a higher capacity system, and based on that planning, the transmission capacity arranges for it finance, approves the regulatory commission. Once is approval of the regulatory commission, it implements that. We have been approaching institutions like Asian Development Bank, the Japan Bank for borrowing from them and then investing into the system. So our borrowing cost remains pretty low, and that's why the transmission tariff in Madhya Pradesh is quite competitive. In fact, now we freely allow anybody open access on our transmission system. Anybody just want to wheel its power through our network, we allow it freely. We have absolutely no restriction because we have capacity in our transmission system.
Well, it has been observed that in the absence of long-term power contracts, DISCOMs are forced to buy costlier power from the short-term market, which further increases the power tariff and causes an extra financial burden to the DISCOMs. But Madhya Pradesh has shown 126% increase in availability of long-term contracted power. How would this benefit the consumer at large?
All our requirement is tied up through long-term sources. In fact, our long-term power purchase agreement are all 25 years. Average cost of supplies actually will go down next year once Sharan starts generating. The power coming out of Sharan first year cost is about 90 paisa only, and overall for a period of 25 years it is 1 rupees 19 paisa. So our average cost of supply would actually come down through these long-term arrangements like Sharan that we have done. The minute you reduce your average cost of supply, actually the regulator will have to factor that in while determining the tariff. And the tariff, actually we believe that tariff will not go high in Madhya Pradesh in coming years to come once Sharan starts generating power.
Thanks Mr. Suleman for joining us in Power News. It's time for another short break. Keep watching Power News.
Indian Energy Exchange, India's premier power trading platform. Jal, jal, jal. जल से जल तक, मेगावाटर से मेगावाट्स तक, SJVN Limited.
Power Finance Corporation, the most preferred financial institution, providing affordable and competitive products and services with efficient and internationally integrated sourcing. PFC, partnering the reforms in the Indian power sector.
Welcome back. In several parts of rural India, people still live without electricity. Those who have access to electricity are often troubled by irregular supply. Providing grid-connected power supply to remote areas is not only difficult but also expensive. In such a situation, efforts to lift the deprived communities out of energy poverty by using renewable energy technologies will not only strengthen social equality but also promote a cleaner and healthier environment. Here is a report by our correspondent.
Recognizing the need to provide clean energy to remote rural areas with a sustainable and scalable model, Naturetech infrastructure came into existence. It is providing electricity to remote rural areas through solar microgrid.
In rural areas, wherever there is electricity, there are three major challenges. Number one, there is stealing of electricity. Number two, there is no collection or payment of electricity. Number three, it's very difficult to manage these such remote setups in rural areas.
As of now, the company has built 15 solar DC innovative microgrids spread over 9 villages and 2 districts of UP, benefiting about 400 families and making a difference to at least 2,500 rural lives.
हमारे गांव में जिससे पहले जब लाइट नहीं थी तो बच्चों को पढ़ाई में बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत होती थी। जब से हमारे गांव में लाइट आई है तब से बच्चों को पढ़ाई में बहुत आराम मिली है और जो हाई स्कूल या इंटर के बच्चे हैं वो ज़्यादा टाइम तक आराम से पढ़ सकते हैं।
मैं बत्ती को लिया, उससे हमें बहुत सुविधा मिली। दुकान 7 बजे बंद कर देता था, सो जाता है। अब 10 बजे तक खुला रहती है।
Recently, the company commissioned its first ultra-low-cost and most innovative smart AC solar microgrid in a village in Sitapur district. This project, which is built, owned and operated by Naturetech, is the first of its kind in India.
Panels installed and is so designed that the land is very less, panel capacity is very less, the battery backup is less, the consumption in the village we have tried to keep it low with our LED bulbs, and the power is distributed through underground cables, so no pilferage, no theft, which is rampant in the villages which having Rajiv Gandhi Gramin Vidyut Karan Yojana electricity. So, and then again the meters are smart prepaid meters, there is a prepaid, no postpaid, no metering, no manual collection. And meters have been so installed that they cannot be bypassed.
One of the basic requirements for converting the use of such projects in rural electrification into a successful business opportunity is the availability of appropriate support frameworks and financial instruments in order to bring sustainable results.
To implement these projects on a larger scale, government needs to provide an effective, transparent and expeditious financial scheme and extend a complementary non-financial support by way of favourable policies and methodology. With this, we come to an end of this edition of Power News. You may send us your suggestions and views at info@indianpowernews.com or call us on 011-405-60701. Do join us next week for more news and updates. Till then, goodbye and take care.